Welcome to the Ola Hawatmeh Show on American One. Today I have a special guest, Joseph Trahan with BizPac from Texas, joining us today. But a special thank you to my sponsor for today's show, Tom Izzo, also from Texas with Speed Pro. Thank you, Tom, for being a sponsor. Stay tuned. As a conservative activist working on campaigns throughout the entire country, I know how important it is to find a reliable print shop. From banners to yard signs to palm cards, well, Speed Pro does just that. Tom Izzo from Speed Pro, Frisco, Texas, is my new sponsor on the Ola Hawatmeh Show on American One. They can be reached at 972-403-9955, providing all of your print needs for your campaign throughout the entire country. 972-403-9955. That's Speed Pro. Here with us today from Texas, Joe with BizPac. Joe, thank you for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
I love what you guys stand for and what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about what BizPac is and what you're doing.
Sure. Okay, BizPac is an association of business owners. We are not a political action committee. We chose that name so that if we chose to have a political action committee later, we could do it and we'd already have the name captured. We work with other political action committees sometimes. So as an association of business owners, BizPac represents the small businessman as an organization. Our membership is about 2,500 business owners here in Texas. Small business is about 80% of employment in the United States. The trouble is we're so busy running our businesses, running our companies, we don't come together and work with our legislative bodies, municipal, state, and federal. What BizPac is doing is kind of being that sounding board, being that clearing center for that, so that business owner activism can create fair play. And we like to get rid of lobbyists and get rid of needless taxes and things like that.
Amen to that. We need more people like you because there is no accountability, and that's kind of what you do. And you have one event every month.
There we go. Yes, we have several types of events per month. And at BizPac, we have a roundtable meeting that usually involves our elected officials, either one or more. We hold candidate forums. We do research on candidates and report that to the public. We work with other political grassroots organizations and share that information. Because we want to make sure that we get good guys elected, and we want to make sure that what would you call it? A career politician, hired guns. That sometimes the Democrats will put somebody in the primary around here. I'm sure they do it where you are too. That is really somebody posing as a Republican, a rhino, yes. And they're really a saboteur for the primary. And so we try to identify that quickly so that those dirty tricks, if we can head it off sooner than later, that kind of keeps them out of the mix. So we're a watchdog group as well as a set of business owner, CEO type activists. We're in the Texas legislature often when the session is going. In Texas, the legislature meets for 5 months every 2 years. So we have small government. As big of a state as we are, we have small government. And so we are very active and effective in meeting with our representatives and our senators, giving testimony too when needed. But a lot of the legislators regard our membership as kind of expert witness. They call them as a sounding board whenever they're hearing from lobbyists. They want to get the reality. They want a reality check. In Texas, there are 9 lobbyists for every single elected and appointed official in the state of Texas, from dog catcher to the Senate and House. Okay. And by the most recent count that we were able to do last year, in the U.S. federal government, now get ready for this. In the U.S. federal government, for every elected and appointed official in the U.S. federal government that appointed in terms of director, deputy director, being the head of one of the agencies, there are over 450 lobbyists.
Wow.
In the U.S. federal government. Now, you and I think that these are our elected officials. But I promise you, these lobbyists talk about these elected officials that we think are ours.
Yes.
As if they work for them. And so there's no greater victory, I guess you could say, for the small businessman than whenever we're in a meeting with our state senators and state representatives and they throw the lobbyists out, or they tell them, almost a direct quote here, a sitting state senator said to BizPac members recently, this bill is not going to move forward without the BizPac amendments to it, and said to the lobbyist, gentlemen, you're welcome to leave, and motioned to the door. It just basically threw them out. We couldn't believe it. That was, they would have ripped us off.
Yes.
Is what was happening with some clever wordsmanship. So that's really what we're doing, is organizing and informing business owners. So we're citizen activists, and I'll kind of point it back to this. This nation would not be founded if it were not for the small businessman.
Amen.
Small businessmen were sitting there getting hammered.
Yes.
With a lot more intrusion, kind of like you see in some areas today in these Democrat city states. And an example of it would be the Declaration of Independence. Go look at that document. Go look down at the bottom of that document. Do you know those guys sat around those taverns for 9 years debating the Declaration of Independence? And you can just imagine in your mind, you can see through your mind's eye, you can imagine these guys are all sitting there and they're having their businesses and they're getting taxes and they're seeing what the troops are doing, and the police forces are encroaching in their lives, and they know that they're the ones taking all the risk, and they're seeing things come apart. And finally, there's young John Hancock, and he finally had enough.
Yes.
And he takes that quill and he signs his name as big as day, front and center at the bottom. And he said, no more edits, fellas. And he signs that big John Hancock, and he turns that thing around and he hands them that quill. And you can look at their signatures, and all of them are small and shaky. He called them all out. You know what that was? That was one businessman putting a stake in the ground.
Yep.
And the rest of them followed. Some of them kind of begrudgingly, but some of them stepped up and really became heroes and leaders in the revolution. But this nation would not even be founded if it weren't for the small business.
It would not. And it's I love what BizPac stands for, because when they say I'm a small business owner, when they say do not include politics in business, are you kidding me? Politics is in everything. And
you better have your legislative game together. Because a bad legislature can put you out of business in a pin stroke.
Absolutely. Well, BizPac holds them accountable, which is wonderful. And that's what we need: accountability and transparency where there isn't. I completely agree with you. As a small business owner and a freedom fighter, I love what this country was founded on. And America the Great wouldn't be America the Great without our founding fathers and what it was founded on. Don't change my America. So thank you for everything that you are doing. And I know you have an event coming up Thursday. What is the purpose? So the purpose of BizPac is? So,
purpose of BizPac is really, there's 4 legs on the table that you better have your act together on, or you're going to fall over. The number one or the four items are: you better have your legislative game together with your legislative bodies, municipal, state, and federal. You need to be active. You've got to participate. As much as you don't like some of the ugliness of politics, you better get in there and find out what's going on and be aware and get together with your other fellow business owners. BizPac is an organization you work with to make that happen. You need to have your money game together, your capital game together. There's all kinds of ways to get the money you need as a growing small business. You need to know what you're doing. There's all types of private equity, venture capital, and then other more traditional and even private funding sources. BizPac makes it a point to find the good ones and to help bring that forward to our members. We want them to be strong financially. We want the best run, highest growth companies so that everyone can look at our BizPac member companies and go, that's what I want to be doing. Yes. That's where I want to be. I want to be with those guys.
Absolutely.
So we've got that great business referral network inside of BizPac. At any BizPac meeting, it's not uncommon that $100,000 of business referrals happen right there in the room.
Yes.
Then you've got to have your coaching and advisory. They're two separate things.
Okay.
You've got to have coaching and advisory. Any of the startup companies, I'm one of the founders of the Houston Angel Investor Network, been angel investing 25 years, now have a venture capital fund and a private equity fund. But you've got to have, for all these startup companies, young companies, these high growth companies, you've got to have good advisory. Now, advisory is more about having your act together in terms of I'm ready for audit at all times.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's as you grow bigger, then you have firms that you're engaging all the time to help watch for some of that, because there's 1.5 million laws we live under from the federal on down. 1.5 million laws. I just casually threw that out. That's going to ruin your lunch probably.
No.
But coaching is a whole different thing.
Exactly.
Advisory is one thing. Coaching is a whole different thing for executives. A lot of startup companies, a lot of high growth companies, your executives need coaching to learn how to be the leaders that they need to be, to motivate their people, keep employees on track, producing, innovative. You want all those things. So advisory and coaching is another thing that we have at BizPac that we bring to the companies. Then a good, solid professional services network. You've got to have good quality professional services. You can't grow without them.
No.
Any small business may need some portion of tax, accounting, legal, different types of legal. I mean, you got general counsel, then you've got litigators, you've got specialties in intellectual property, M&A, mergers and acquisitions. So, I mean, you've got to have a palette of professional service providers. Digital marketing is its own thing, in the whole IT and cloud world. So you need good, solid professional service providers, but you only need as much of them as you need.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is add your website, less government, more independent, and getting involved. I love BizPac and what you guys stand for, and appreciate everything that you stand for. Where can people find, what's your website?
BizPac.us, BizPac.us.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for coming on. And again, a special thank you to our sponsor. As a conservative activist working on campaigns throughout the entire country, I know how important it is to find a reliable print shop. From banners to yard signs to palm cards, well, Speed Pro does just that. Tom Izzo from Speed Pro, Frisco, Texas, is my new sponsor on the Ola Hawatmeh Show on American One. They can be reached at 972-403-9955, providing all of your print needs for your campaign throughout the entire country. 972-403-9955, that's Speed Pro.